the Amazon mission statement. Yeah? This frees us to focus on mission-critical tasks instead of purchasing, configuring, maintaining redundant infrastructure. This is why the cloud has been built, yeah? To support these ideas. And of course, you know, many governments, including the US government, are concerned around security. And because of that, when they launched the first service on top of the Amazon cloud, the government put out a press release specifically targeting security in the cloud. Yeah, and so their statement was that the improved computer security actually gives them greater protection than what they would be able to achieve themselves. So this is a very strong supporting statement in support of security in the cloud. And by now I've started to collect many seals of the different agencies in the US. There's some really beautiful ones mounted. NASA, of course, I think, whenever I see a presentation of NASA, I wish I would work for them. You know, these guys have probably the greatest jobs in the world. You know, it's, so one of the things that NASA is using the cloud for is actually taking all telemetry data from the Mars rover. That comes back and then they store it, geographically replicate it across the US. There's really great stuff happening at NASA, and we're happy to, really proud actually, to be working together with them because they do really amazingly forward-looking stuff. Important for us is that you know, we give you as our customers full flexibility. And what does that mean? That's not just a loose word. You know, I strongly believe that, you know, the old style of doing IT was all focused around vendor lock-in. Yeah? The only way that you could drive your costs down in the enterprise was to do long-term commitments towards vendors. I think that has created a style of IT department where eventually IT was seen as the blocker. Yeah? And so only because you could only drive costs down by reducing choice and long-term commitments. Amazon is the inverse. You know, our data model, our model for the new style of IT is that you should be able to pick any software, any operating system, any programming language without being locked into it. Yeah, and so our services can be accessed from any programming language. It's just simple HTTP calls towards a service. And so at a low level, that's easy, and many of our partners are building all sorts of other pieces of software around it. But no lock-in is a very important strategy for us because we believe that will drive a whole new wave of IT. And so many of our partners here, you know, Microsoft, Oracle, Red Hat Linux, Ubuntu, SUSE Linux, all of these are supported operating systems on our platform. Many customers, of course, have existing premise data on premise. They will use a whole range of different management tools. And if you just see here just a small subset of some of the ISVs, all of them have practices around AWS such that you can manage and on-premise resources and AWS resources with exactly the same software. So, for example, BMC software has a product called Blade Logic. You can use your on-premise resources with that and also resources in the cloud. Many of the SIs, the big SIs, all have practices around AWS, will help you grow there. And also, in most countries, there's young, hungry, newer SIs that will also help you actually get your business off the ground in the cloud, if that's the sort of style of engagement that you prefer. And so there's, the ecosystem is so large. So I often look at the Amazon cloud as there's much more than just those basic building blocks that are underneath there. Yeah, so the basic building blocks are the Amazon Web Services, but on top of that, it's such a wide variety of pieces of software, ranging from platforms such as the Herokus and the Engine Yards of this world, the PHP Fog and Nojitsu and all these other software platforms, and on top of that, a whole range of new style of businesses as well. Yeah, so I just picked a few. These are just a set of companies that have come to life in the past year and a half around about big data and analytics. Yeah, we know that there's a lot of new development needed to make sure that we can take our business problems and translate them into tools such as Elastic MapReduce. And these companies are all focusing on that. Yeah, and there's not only software packages in that sense, also many provide services. And again, there's a wide range of companies doing that. In this case, I just picked a few that do video transcoding in the cloud. You can provide them, you point them to a file in S3, you give them some parameters, they'll transcode that file for you. And there's large enterprises doing that, such as Adobe and Surgeon 360, but also open source based ones, such as Panda and Encoding.com. Shane already mentioned this earlier as well. We are currently at 5 regions around the world, 2 in the US, 2 in Asia Pacific, and 1 in Europe. And so there's sort of 2 styles in which customers are using this. Yeah, one of them is for companies in a particular company to get low latency access to that particular data center. And for example, if you're moving some of your IT services into one of these regions, you obviously want fast local access there. And the other use case is that there are companies who, for example, are here in Australia, but target the global market. Yeah, and we see that around the world. For example, Israel is a country that is a true hotbed of startups. Thousands and thousands of startups are in that country, but it's obvious that the local market is actually relatively small. So all those companies are targeting the global market using the Amazon Web Services. So a bit of an idea about the growth of the Amazon Web Services. At the beginning of each year, we kind of count the number of objects that are in Amazon S3, the simple storage service. And at the beginning of this year, there was 339 billion objects in Amazon S3. Yeah, so more importantly, actually more important than that absolute number is actually the trend that you see. Yeah, last year we were 150 billion, now close to 340 billion. That is more than a doubling of that number. And in my feeling, the way that I look at this and see the trend happening is that I'm actually convinced that we haven't seen that knee of the real hockey stick yet, and that we'll see tremendous growth happening very soon. Yeah, and this is a really scalable system. We take about, on average, about 200,000 storage transactions a second. You can imagine that there's some heavy technology behind these numbers. And also to give you a bit of an idea about the growth of our compute infrastructure in that sense, on a daily basis, we are adding as much capacity to EC2 as Amazon.com used to run in the year 2000, when they were about a $2.7 billion company. Yeah? That's the amount of capacity that we are adding to our cloud on a daily basis. Innovation, so this is, we've not been sitting around. Yeah? This is not just like we've delivered a few services, we actually are continuously innovating and adding pieces to our environment, mainly in feedback from our customers. So this is actually the slide for sort of a summary slide for over the past years. If you actually drill down into a particular year, this is, for example, the last year, you'll see that a lot more things actually happened last year. And if I would come back next year and you would look at the same set of slides for 2011, the only thing that I can promise you there is that next year I will need 2 slides to cover 2011. Yeah. And so what's the key there? And the key is actually very, very important. It's very important to Amazon's strategy. Yeah. We really think it's really important that it's not us in the back room making up these services. Yeah. Listening to our customers is in our DNA. And so why does it look such a little bit chaotic, that last slide? Is that because each of our services has given the mandate, or in their DNA is to work very closely with their customers, take their feedback, and then continuously iterate in delivering the features that customers want. Yeah? And as such, we're not telling our services to wait with delivering those features. Whenever they have these new features ready, they can release them, because those are things that their customers have asked for. And I think there's a sort of a strategy That has been in Amazon's DNA for a very long time. We've done that in the retail side as well, and you see it now here coming back with the Amazon Web Services also. And it is a pattern